So I bought a Bitcoin and I'm in Ireland. Now, I don't know if I was the first person in Ireland to buy a Bitcoin. I imagine I wasn't, but I'm certainly one of the first people in Ireland to ever buy Bitcoin. I bought a full Bitcoin. It was back when a Bitcoin costs €100. It's €100 for a Bitcoin. Roughly, I think it might have been 97, 98, something like that, but it was roughly about €100. The cost now is like €600, €700. So now I only bought one and I sold it again. It's about €700 if you add in charges, because a lot of people will be charged. It's 669 I'm getting from Aircoin right now, but time you add in charges and everything else, you're talking about €700 per Bitcoin. Now, if I had have held on to that Bitcoin, that's be a 700% increase in my original, or 600% increase, I guess, in my original purchase over. I don't know when I bought it. It must have been a couple of years ago, but over a couple of years, 600% increase. Now I spent €100, so you got to spend €100 and you get 700 back. It's not that big a deal, I guess. But if someone had spent 10 grand and they got 60 grand back, that would be over a year or two. That would be a decent return. And if someone had spent 100 grand, let's say, so instead of buying a house, they sell the house, they rent for a while, and they use that money to buy Bitcoin. And they sell the house sell the house for maybe 300 grand. I think you would do that in Ireland. And they lived on the 100 grand, and they put the other 200 grand into Bitcoin. Let's just say, for example, they would now have over €1 million, which you could certainly buy another house with over €1 million. Now, that's just all. No one's going to do that. It's a very, very risky investment, and I'm not suggesting that anybody invests in Bitcoin necessarily. It's a very risky investment. You do what you want to do with your money, but I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't tell you what to do. And I'm assuming you're an adult and you'll make your own decisions, just like I am. But I was interested in the process. I was interested in the process of buying and selling, because I'm in technology. I've been in technology for a long time, and I like testing out new technologies. So when I'm on the web, I created websites before anyone was creating them. I taught myself programming, ASP, PHP, JavaScript. Taught myself all those kind of things. Dreamweaver, Photoshop. I love Macs, and it's just interesting technology. So when Bitcoin came out, I had to understand the process, and it was a time where you could buy one Bitcoin as a test if you had €100 to spare, which I did at the time. But I sold it again because I wanted €100 back. I didn't hold on to the Bitcoin. I was just interested in the process of buying and selling, and I'd like to just share my experience of the process of buying and selling the Bitcoin with you, particularly from people from Ireland. I guess people from anywhere, but this is particularly aimed at people from Ireland because I am from Ireland and I bought it from an Irish company. Now, the company that I bought it from was called Aircoin. Now, today, this was a good few years ago, I think Aircoin was the only Irish place, and I wanted to get it from an Irish place. There's loads of international places you can get it from, and it would have been absolutely fine, I imagine, but I just felt like I wanted to get it from an Irish place. I was testing out the technology, and I wanted to take the least risky, what I perceived as the least riskiest route, which is Aircoin, even though I didn't know Aircoin at the time. I knew nothing about them, know who was behind it, but it just, because they were Irish, I just felt like it was the least riskiest route to buy Bitcoin. So the process is very simple. I walked into a bank, I put €100 into their account. Now, I could have done an online transaction to their account as well, but I decided to go into a bank and put €100 into their account, and I set up a Bitcoin wallet, which is a very straightforward thing to do. I'm not going to go through the process of setting up a Bitcoin wallet because there's lots of ways online of doing that, but there's one. Actually, I will give you this information. There's one place specifically I went where you can set up a paper wallet, and what I would suggest, now, you do whatever. Again, I'm not an expert in this technology, so you do whatever you want to do, and if you lose your money, that's your business. It's nothing to do with me. But the way I perceive it's the least risky way of doing is setting up a paper wallet. And there's places online where for free you can go in and set up a paper wallet, and you fold it over to hide your key, because there's a key for money to go into the wallet and key for money to go out of the wallet. So you want the key for money to go out of the wallet, you want to keep that hidden, but you can actually print off this wallet. So you could actually have 10 million euro in bitcoins, which I don't, by the way. I don't. But let's say someone did have that kind of money, they could actually take 10 million euro worth of bitcoin, and they could put it on this little A4 sheet of paper, fold it over, and have it in their pocket. So they could have 10 million euro worth of bitcoin on this sheet of paper in their pocket. That's how good this technology is. Now, my own opinion on the Bitcoin technology is amazing. It's the one thing that's great about Bitcoin is it is like gold. Now, I don't want to give a history of money, but gold and silver coins, certainly in the time of the Romans, would have been used, and early, English civilizations, and a lot of civilizations, and of course, money was always linked to gold at one stage. Money, well, I say money, I guess I mean currency, but dollars or euros, pounds. I think a pound was a pound of gold initially, but it's all money was linked to gold, and the reason was because you just can't create more gold. So the value of the gold you don't lose the value, and it has been shown over the years, thousands of years, that gold hasn't lost its value or its buying power, whereas currencies like dollar and euro and pounds do lose their value over time. Like, for whatever you could buy 10 years ago with €100, you can't buy with €100 anymore, and because the value of the currency has flown down. Now, the difference with Bitcoin, and the reason the value of Bitcoin will increase, I'm completely convinced that the value of Bitcoin, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, you make your own decisions, but I'm completely convinced that the value of Bitcoin can only go up, because, and what's the limiting? There's a limiting factor on gold, where you cannot. Well, you can create more gold, but it's a big process where you have to mine it out of the ground and everything else. So there's a big limiting factor on the amount of gold that can be out there, so it doesn't lose its value. And Bitcoin is the same. There's a big limiting factor on Bitcoin, which is the amount of it's the encryption. The encryption means there can only a certain amount of bitcoins can be created. Now, a lot of things can happen with Bitcoin. There are risks with Bitcoin. For example, it can be outlawed by governments. Now, I don't think if it's outlawed by governments that it'll lose any value. In fact, taking illegal drugs, for example, illegal drugs increased hugely in value when they became illegal. If you compare the time that you were legal to when they became illegal, the actual value of them shot up after it became illegal. So, taking that as an example or an analogy, I don't think it's going to lose any value by becoming illegal. But obviously, a lot of people don't want to live, including me, don't want to live outside the legal framework. So that can be an issue for some people. There's obviously a hacking. Now, it's protected very, very well from hacking because it's distributed, and it's also protected from governments trying to control it because of the distributed nature of it, which is the difference between BitTorrent and Napster. Whereas Napster could be closed down, BitTorrent was never be able to close down because it was distributed among many servers. So I think there is obviously risk there with technology, risk with any technology, but from what I know, and I've been in technology my whole life, and I understand technology, is that Bitcoin's value can only increase, and there may be one or two factors that might destroy Bitcoin. Absolutely. So if you have €1 million in Bitcoin, it's possible to lose that, but it's also possible to have 10 grand in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is €700 now per Bitcoin roughly, and there's no reason why it can't be 7,000 or 70,000 or 700,000 per Bitcoin, because it can still be used in transactions because it'll be divided down. Now, if it does start getting used It's not widely used now. There's some places that accept it, but if you have Bitcoin, I guess it's possible. And I think some people have done experiments where they could live on Bitcoin and buy all the things they wanted to buy anyway. But it is very, very difficult to live on Bitcoin right now. So you can spend it in certain places, but a lot of places just don't take it, and the currency isn't worth much if they don't take it, if it's not been taken. But it will get accepted in more and more places over time. It's even being seen now that the it's growing, and as soon as when it's just like email. When email came out first, it was very difficult to use. You had to be a technical person to use it. Bitcoin is the same right now, but it's going to get simpler and simpler and simpler because people are going to put different protocols in place. Like for email, IMAP and POP3 and different protocols came around, and Gmail came around and made it easy for anyone to have an account and to start using it. And these things are going to happen. So as more and more people, there's only a certain amount of Bitcoins in circulation, only ever will be a certain amount of Bitcoins in circulation. So as more people use it, which is going to happen, has to happen, because it is one of the easiest ways to trade online. As more people take it, and as people like Realex came along and Stripe came along, they made transactions online easier, and this is going to happen with Bitcoin too. And as more people use it, the value will go up. So it's at €700 now. It'll go up and down. It could be €700 today, and it could be €100 tomorrow, but over the long term it will only go up. So I'm recording this now in 2016. I'll take a look at this video in 2026, and I imagine that my prediction for 2026, it can only go up, and I would suggest that it'll go up like 100-fold. Now, that if someone can hold it for 10 years, that's something that you have to decide for yourself, but that's my prediction that I want to make for myself, to check in 10 years to see if I was anywhere close to being true. Could I be absolutely wrong? But let's wait and see. So that's what I really want to do, is go through my experience of Bitcoin and my experience of buying it and using it. The one other thing I just want to throw in just at the end is Bitcoin is not just the coin itself. It is the whole system behind it. There's a big system behind it, which is called the blockchain. But a lot of programming can be put into the blockchain. So for example, things it can be used for is, it can be used for automated contracts between businesses. So if something, you can put programming in place so that it's an automated, because if I have a contract with you, when this happens, the money will be sent through automatically, and that can be all programmed in. So it can check whether I've done something, and the money can go through. So it can be used for escrow and stuff like that, escrow accounts and stuff like that. And it can also be used to keep a record of things, because it's a distributed system, the blockchain, that keeps records of this Bitcoin. But it can be used to keep records for anything. For example, land that is owned by certain people can be held in the blockchain, and it is completely secure, and it's a very reliable system of just recording things, whether it's for business, yourself, with the land you own, property you own, insurance reasons. There's lots of reasons to use this blockchain. So this technology, in one form or another, I imagine it will be taken over by a larger company at one stage. Like for example, Napster came out, and Napster made some inroads, and then there was BitTorrent, but Apple came along in the end, and with their Apple Music, you changed the whole landscape, because they had the energy to do it, and they had the money to do it. So there will be people coming in on Bitcoin as well, and there is probably hundreds of thousands of developers developing for Bitcoin right now, which is going to mean that for the end consumer, that it's very, very easy to use at some stage. But this has been Alan here from Marshall Solutions. I just want to bring you through my experience of buying Bitcoin and what it can be used for, and how I did it. I bought it with an Aircoin. It was very, very easy to do. It was also very easy to sell, and very easy to hold on to as well. So that was my experience, and thank you for listening.